Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 27's study group session. And this week, we will be learning about the different concepts of asking for help. So we learned the importance of talking and reviewing notes the past couple of weeks, but what if there are just some concepts you have learned that are not making sense to you? So knowing when and how to ask for help can make navigating school and life much easier. And more importantly, you will save time by avoiding mistakes or experience others have made when you're asking for help. And before I begin, here's our group learning agreements. Yeah, you guys should know the drill. And here's our YSP vision. It is to elevate people's growth mindsets so we all achieve higher ambition. And our mission is to guide first generation high school students to pursue and obtain a college education. All right, so what are the purpose of our study groups? There are three main reasons why. One of them is to increase your connections with other Y scholars, to improve your student success skills, and to guide you to practice your growth mindset. So to prepare for this session, you can open your YSP journal, your Google Docs, your notebook, or the assignment that's attached in the YouTube description. So this would be an icebreaker, but you can think about it yourself too. If you were to debate which one is superior, would you pick winter break or summer vacation? And if so, why? So this is just to practice your logical reasoning. You could do this if you want, but I'm gonna skip over this. And I'm going to review what we learned the last week with memorization techniques. So there are really two popular memorization techniques that we have talked about. The first one was rote memorization. It basically means verbal repetition. And we did like a little experiment last week with a Jamboard that I made to see how much you can remember when you read something out versus when you don't read it out. And the second method is known as the mnemonic method. And there are two different ways you can think of the mnemonic methods, which is image association or acronyms. Okay, so verbal repetition is basically repeating information out loud, and it is great for self-test of knowledge. Image association, on the other hand, are using parts of the word or imagery to remember the definition. And it is great for vocabulary or key terms to memorize their definitions and how to spell out the word. An example of it is paramount, right? Paramount means more important than everything else. It means superior. So if you break apart these words, para, you can think of paragliding, parachuting, and then mount, you could think of it as a horse or whatever. Yeah, because the horse is superior. So that's one way you can think of the definitions. And then acronym, which is one of my favorite effective memorization method. It is to use the first letter or parts of a series of words to create an abbreviation. And it's great for memorizing the order of components of something. So here's an example. This is the iconic acronym example, which is PEMDAS. It is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It is also used to memorize the order of operations, which is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, right? So creating these acronyms make it easier to remember a series of stuff. Like what I said at first, this week we'll be learning how to ask for help and to use that to improve your studies. All right, so the main goal of this session will be to understand what keeps you from asking for help and to see how you can start practicing asking for help. Okay, a little reminder, if you guys want to join our YSP College Mindset Academy, you can sign up through this link. It is a 3-week camp. Let me search this up for you. It is a 3-week camp where we help you with college essays, etc., etc. Yeah, it's a 3-week summer program, and it helps you make advancement in your college application preparation. We teach you a lot of growth mindset stuff, like building your leadership skills and increasing your growth mindset. Registration have already started, so if you're interested, you can sign up. Right here, just click to register. And I think this is the date we were planning to, but it might be changing. So if you just click here to sign up, we'll update you and give you more information on it afterwards. And it is free for you if you're currently a YSP student or a YSP scholar. But if you do miss a couple of sessions, we will start charging you because you have missed it and you do not qualify for our scholarship. Yeah. So if you want to sign up for that, feel free to do so. And now we will be continuing our session. So think about to yourself, who have you turned to for help with schoolwork this year? So if you had a question on a certain subject, who would you ask? Okay, write down your answers and I will be sharing mine. When I have trouble with my schoolwork, I tend to turn to my classmates, my roommate, the professor, the teacher assistants, the tutors on campus. Yeah, so those are people who I typically turn to ask for help of me, depending on the subject. Next question, what factors play into when you choose to ask for help? So when do you ask for help? Basically, take some time and write down your questions, write down your answers. All right, I'll share mine. So when I choose to ask for help, it's basically when I'm really lost. I have no idea what to do. And I ask for like instructions, or I ask to clarify stuff because the instructions are very confusing, or I'm not sure what the next steps to take are. I would ask for help in terms of solving a problem. And then I was writing a paper, my group mates and I were confused and we don't know, we should add more stuff, delete some stuff. So we went to go ask for the professor's help to see what we should do. Yeah. Okay, now, if you have the Jamboard, if you have access to Jamboard, feel free to answer this on it, or you can just do it in your journal or your assignment. So basically the question is, what blocks you from asking for help? Okay, think about the different factors. You can think of physical or emotional factors. So pause the video and take time to write down your thoughts. I will be sharing mine. So what blocks me from asking for help sometimes is I feel intimidated. So I feel really embarrassed asking for help. And I feel like the professor thinks that I'm not paying attention to class just because I'm asking for help. And also I don't like asking for help since I feel like I'm going to be bothering and annoying other people. So most of the time I choose not to ask for help. And I try to solve it on my own. And if I really cannot solve it after spending some time on it on my own, I would ask my classmates, my friends, my professor's assistants, my tutors, etc. Yeah, I'll look for all the resources and think about it yourself. Okay, if you need more time to write, feel free to pause the video, but we're moving on to section 1 of today of why don't you want to ask for help? You don't want to ask for help because you're waiting for help to come. So college is all about becoming more independent. This does not mean you're to navigate college alone. It means you have to be the decision maker. So in high school, you have teachers, counselors wanting to make sure you're doing okay in class so you can graduate high school, to check up on you if you start failing or you are missing a couple of assignments, to point it out to you so you can start getting your act together. And you also have us, which is the Y Scholar program, looking out for you as well. So if you forget an assignment or you're missing because you're absent for some reason, we might reach out to see what's going on. But in college, it's not necessarily like that. right? So in college, your professors and your TAs are extremely busy. So it's not really common that they'll reach out to you if you're failing. So waiting to be noticed and helped is a path to disaster in college. So do not have a habit of waiting for someone to come to you and ask, oh, do you need help with anything? We want you to be an advocate for yourself and go up to people and ask them for help. Most of the time, people really do not mind. We actually enjoy helping, and we actually feel like that's one way to build relationships because we get to know you better, you get to know us better. So yeah. Oh, and then the next reason why you do not want to ask for help, like what I said at first, is fear or ego. You're afraid of judgment if you decide to reach out for help. You're afraid of asking a dumb question or looking dumb. Or maybe you are determined to do it on your own. The problem with both is that you're blinding yourself from people and resources around you that can get you to the answer faster. So yeah, that's exactly how I usually feel. Like I feel really embarrassed. I get really scared. I get intimidated by my professor, the TAs, because of my culture and the way I was brought up to be. Ego, not so much for me because I feel dumb all the time. But yeah, ask for help because it really helps save you time. You don't have to go figuring things out on your own. Yeah. Okay, now we are in section 2. It is how to practice being effective in asking for help. So asking for help is actually exercising your growth mindset, believe it or not. As you recall, your growth mindset is a muscle that needs to be exercised, and the same applies for asking for help. You can become really good at asking for help and make the other party feel good about helping you. So what you should do is develop a system to recognize when you actually do need help. We created a flow chart here as to when you think you should be needing help, right? So you should set a boundary system so you differentiate when you understand the task or the concept versus when you feel confused or you may need help on it. So right here it shows, okay, you need help on math homework. So you check your notes. And if you do know how to do your homework after checking your notes because you found the formula, you found out an example of how the teacher has solved it, then you don't really need to ask for help, right? But let's say you got to this box right here. So you have your math homework, you check your notes, you still don't know how to do the homework, what should you do? You send an email to the teacher or should you request tutoring in YSP, asking your classmate, stuff like that. So this is a system you can develop on your mind, like a mental one, to know when you should be asking for help. So this is just for math homework, right? So think of an example of when it's not math homework, but it's something else. Let's say you have a group project and you're the last member added to the group and you did not know what happened previously. What would you do here? What type of system would you develop? Think about it. Okay, so the next thing you should be thinking about and practice doing is know if you're asking for help or clarification. This is actually really important in college because sometimes you're really confused and you don't even know what you're asking for. And to cut times for office hours because there's usually a lot of people wanting to talk to the professor. It can save a lot of time when you know exactly what you need or try to get out from the professor. So I want you to, before I tell you the definition of the difference between asking for clarification or asking for help, try differentiating the two yourself and give an example for when to ask for clarification and when to ask for help. So pause this video and then think about it for a couple minutes or two, and then write down your answer. This is also in your assignments. Okay. Okay. So let me go to the Jamboard. What is the difference between asking for help versus asking for clarification? So when you need to ask for clarification, it is simply when you need to check in with someone to make sure you're doing the right thing. That is a clarification. And then when you're asking for help, you need to acquire information that is unknown to you. So an example, let's continue the example from math first. You have math homework. You're stuck on this one problem. And let's say you're solving it halfway and you don't know what to do afterwards. Like you have a function, you plug in the numbers into the X and Y variable, but you can't figure out what X and Y is. What would you do? Are you asking for clarification or are you asking for help? Probably asking for clarification, but you're probably asking for help because you don't really know what to do. Okay, and then now let's apply to something very similar. That is for clarification. So you're on this exact same problem. You see the problem you're supposed to solve. The thing is, you don't know which formula you should be using to solve for X and Y. So for that, would you be asking for clarification or asking for help? Let's say you're deciding between two functions, right? So function A versus function B. You don't know you should use A or B. At that point, you should be asking for clarification so you know what the next steps are. And that would be the difference between clarification and asking for help. Clarification is you don't know you should do A or B, but asking for help is what is A, what is B? I don't even know what is out there to help me solve this thing. So that's what you should be. That's the difference between the two. Now let's practice to see if you know the difference between asking for help and clarification. Here for examples. So let's say you have number 1. Can you explain photosynthesis to me? Are you asking for help or are you asking for clarification at this point? You should know this, or if you don't, it's okay. But when you're asking this question, you're asking for help because you're asking for unknown facts to you. It's because you're telling them to explain photosynthesis to you. This means you probably do not understand photosynthesis instead of asking for clarification. And then the second question is, so PEMDAS is basically used for orders of operations. You think this is asking for help or clarification? This is asking for clarifications because you know or you think PEMDAS is used for orders of operations, but you're unsure, right? So when you're unsure, it's basically asking for clarification to to increase your confidence that that is what it is for. Okay, number 3, I should use gas law for this problem since it gave me volume and moles, question mark. So should I use it? Should I not use it? Is this asking for help or clarification? This is asking for clarifications because you're like, should I use this or not? So that's a form of clarification question. And then for number 4, I don't know what to do. This is a very obvious asking for help instead of asking for clarification because you just don't know which information to use. You don't have the information to know what to do. So yeah, there's that. So the third thing you can do to practice being more effective and asking for help is to create a system and to clarify and know when to ask for help. So the first thing you would ask is what you need. If you're going to ask the question, ask for clarification, what do you need? And then you know who to ask. Are you going to ask a YSP tutor? Are you going to ask your teacher? Are you going to ask your classmate? Right? And then the third question is what to ask. So those are the 3 things you need to think about when you're asking for help or asking for clarification. So I want you to practice this. You don't have to do it in the Jamboard, but do it in your Google Docs or your YSP journal or the assignments. But using this system here, the 3 questions: what you need, who to ask, what to ask. Try using that to solve this example here. Let's say you have a group science project, assign the day you're absent. What should you do? So what do you need? Who should you be asking? And what should you be asking? Pause this video and then think about it yourself. I will explain it right now. So you were absent the day they assigned the group science project, right? So everyone's probably already assigned in groups, or they chose their own groups. So what should you be needing? You probably need the instructions for the science project. And then what else do you need? You probably need to know who you're in the group with. So who should you be asking at this point? You should be asking your teacher, or if you have a teacher's assistant, or maybe classmates, because they might know which group you're assigned to. But I say you should be asking your teachers so you know who you're working with and what the assignment looks like. And then what should you be asking? You should be asking, oh, I do not have a group because I was absent. Which group am I a part of? And can I have the packet or the instructions to this project? So that's what you should do when you're asking for help. So every time you ask for help or you ask for clarification, think about the system we created for you. Think about the 3 questions, which is what you need, who to ask, what to ask. All right. So remember that if you do not ask, you limit your possibilities. And if you do ask, there's an increase of possibilities. So always better to ask than to not ask. And there's a quote of, there are no such thing as dumb questions. So yeah, always ask for help or for clarifications if you need it. So this is the end of the video. If you're watching it because you missed a session, the assignment is right here. It's also in the YouTube description. Remember to make a copy of it and then fill out the questions and then email it to your counselor. And that will be it for today. And thank you for watching the video.